What's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back into the video today, and today the Houston Rockets play Game 18 on the schedule tonight, and it's going to be a back-to-back, but look, I wouldn't really call this a real back-to-back. When you play an early afternoon game, like sure, if you live in Houston like I do, that game started at 2 o'clock, but since Utah's an hour before, the game started at 1 o'clock yesterday at the Rockets beat the Utah Jazz. The starters barely had to play the fourth quarter because the Rockets killed the Jazz. And so that game ended at 3:30 Utah time. And it's not like the Rockets had to get on a plane and fly somewhere. They didn't have to fly back home. They didn't have to fly back somewhere else. They stayed in the same city overnight and and are playing the same team, and it's a night game. So this game starts at 8 o'clock. Tonight the game starts at 8 o'clock if you live in Houston like I do, but 7 o'clock in Utah. So the team had a total of, after the game ended, had a total of 16 hours off, from when yesterday's game ends to when tonight's game starts. And you're staying in the same city, same hotel. It's not like the team's going to switch hotels. So same city, same hotel, 16 hours apart from yesterday's game ending and tonight's game starting. It's not much of a back-to-back. And so, and the Rockets also this year, and keep in mind, I'm a Rockets fan, but, this year they're the team that there's no other team that's had more rest than the Houston Rockets have at this point. They've played 17 games, which is the most, they're the least out of any NBA team. Meanwhile, you've got teams in the Western Conference like the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Phoenix Suns, and the Golden State Warriors and the Memphis Grizzlies, who have all played 21 games. Also, the Dallas Mavericks have played 21 games, and the Sacramento Kings and Pelicans. So you've got, I just named 6 teams in the Western Conference that have played 21 games this year, and then you've got the Rockets who've played 17. The NBA schedule makers have been very generous to the Rockets throughout the first month and a half of the season to start the year. And, for a while, it's going to continue to be that way with, how generous the schedule makers are with the Rockets, because they still are going to have a lot of time off, coming up, for the rest of the month of December. But speaking of December, this will be the Rockets' first game of the month of December. Hopefully they can start the month with a W. That would be their 4th straight win. It seems like the Rockets have very well, can maybe make their season, building their season on 5-game win streaks. Start off 0-2, then 5-game win streak, lose a game, 5-game win streak, lose a game. Now they've won 3 in a row. And I think it seems like it's very possible the Rockets could win 2 more games from here and make it another 5-game win streak, which would be the 3rd 5-game win streak of the season for the Rockets, because they play the Jazz tonight, of course, who are an easier matchup, and then their next game after this are the Sacramento Kings at home. Now, for last year's Houston Rockets, that doesn't sound good because the Rockets really struggled against the Sacramento Kings and the Utah Jazz last year, but I get a different vibe from this Rockets team, so I really could see them making it another 5-game win streak and, heading to, from 13-4 to 15-4 if they can win the next 2 games tonight against Utah, and then Sacramento at home. But let's go over the injury report, because this is a back-to-back, first of the season, even though it's not a hard back-to-back. The Rockets on the injury report tonight, Steven Adams is resting. I would have been upset if Steven Adams didn't rest tonight for the Rockets, just because of the fact that you look at it, the Rockets brought in Clint Capella this offseason, gave him a 3-year, $24 million contract, and I think one of the big reasons why the Rockets brought in Clint Capella is for this situation right here. When the Rockets played back-to-backs, even though there haven't been a lot early on, there will be more as the schedule goes on. When this team plays back-to-backs, you've got a great center, to be your backup center and play minutes for you, when you've got Steven Adams out, and that's going to be the case tonight. I think Capella's played great in the last 2 games. Defensively, he's been really good too. So he's going to step up tonight with no Adams, and the Rockets haven't had Adams in 2 of the last 3 games because he played yesterday, but the game before that he was injured and now he's resting because it's a back-to-back. But that's 100% the right move with Steven Adams to not play him on back-to-backs. He's a guy you want healthy in the postseason. Dorian Finney-Smith is still out, and Tari Eason is still out, of course, and there's nothing new to the injury report. Adams is not injured. He's just resting. I think playing the Utah Jazz and having Clint Capella to give you more minutes on, when you have something like that where Adams is resting, I think, the injury report there's nothing really wrong with the injury report, but with no Adams tonight, I'd like to see Şengün step up more with the rebounding. His rebounding has not been great recently, but you've got Capella, who's a good rebounder. I'd like to see offensively, I'd like to see Amen Thompson do more. Amen Thompson and Reed Sheppard do more because they were kind of non-existent with their scoring yesterday, both under 10 points. They both did a lot of other good things. Amen had 17 rebounds and assists, and Reed Sheppard had 6 blocks and steals. So both guys were good in other ways besides scoring, but I'd like to see both of those guys pick up the scoring because the 2 games that Kevin Durant missed, you saw those 2 guys step up in both of those wins. Reed Sheppard had 31 against the Warriors, and Amen had 28 against the Suns, and then had 22 against the Nuggets the game before that. And so, recently we've seen those 2 guys yesterday not do as well. But I'd like to see another win. I think that's something that's very likely to happen today for the Rockets. I know you do lose Adams, and the team is on a back-to-back, but you've got a lot of young players on this team. The team that I think is built to play on back-to-back. Maybe it might be a little bit harder for a guy like Kevin Durant, who's older, to play on a back-to-back. But this is a young squad. You've got Şengün, Thompson, Jabari, Reed, and then this is a young squad that's is built to play on a back-to-back. So maybe it might be a little bit harder for vets like Durant, Capella, to play on a back-to-back. But I think the rest of the squad should be able to go out there and have a good night tonight. I expect Durant to have a good night tonight, but I think none of the other players outside of Durant or Capella should have the back-to-back excuse. You guys give me your thoughts on the Rockets game tonight, and I am predicting that they get a win. You guys give me your thoughts in the comment section, and peace out, go Rockets.